org.
Let's see. Once you go through, can you send it to me and that can you write it down? And I'll
Yeah,
just do
I
a
think,
copy paste.
yeah, and she's booting this thing up right now. Uh,
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Good morning.
So, good morning. We're happy to welcome you to the 11th annual Black Economic Conference on behalf of the Mosaic Group. Uh, Mosaic Group, Black Business Loop, Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County, the Urban League of Broward County. We are excited to have you here for this virtual experience. You are now on Go Global, Discovering International Trades and Investments. Before I introduce our panel, we'd like to thank our sponsors, FPNL, Discover of Palm Beaches, Complete Contract Consulting, Greater Miami Convention and Visitor Bureau, Florida State Minority Suppliers Development Council, South Florida Times, Miami Media Group LLC, and Valley National Bank. On today's panel, we will have J.R. McFarland um, as our moderator. Joining our moderator, we have Pilo Isaac, Commissioner Dale Holness, David Thompson, and Miguel. And it is all yours, JR.
All right. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate it. And welcome everyone to this wonderful session. It's a phenomenal opportunity and another layer of resource for entrepreneurs out there and those of you looking to scale your business in a grandiose manner. And this opportunity presented to us by the National Black Economic Conference is a wonderful opportunity. We've got a great suite of speakers here with a tremendous amount of knowledge and intellectual capital, and we will certainly do our best to make this an enjoyable event, informative, and at the same time keep everyone on pace, on target. Let me first introduce myself, and then I'll introduce the other speakers. My name again is J.R. McFarling. I work at the Urban League of Broward County in the Entrepreneurship Center. And as the Small Business Development Officer there, my primary role is assisting entrepreneurs navigate the sometimes murky waters of establishing, building, and maintaining a business. My charge includes coordinating and facilitating technical assistance services, as well as advanced training to minority business owners in our underserved communities. Such programs would include our bootcamp series, our UBIZ collab, as well as other programs around procurement and government contracting. And my mission really is to help establish, structure, strengthen, and grow minority-owned businesses to aid in creating generational wealth. And this program here is another layer of that within our communities. I've spent over 20 years in the business development and the past 7 years in Broward County, specifically helping small business owners. I'm passionate about the community and serving the minority entrepreneurs in my skill set and experience in financial services, where I worked for a large mutual fund company in Boston, will lend itself well in this topic, but also in our mission and our purpose here. Also joining us on the call today is Commissioner Dale Holness. Commissioner Holness is a 17-year elected Democratic and public servant who served as the City of Lauderdale Commissioner from 2004 to 2010, Broward County's District 9 Commissioner since 2010, including time served as Broward County Vice Mayor in 2019, and Broward County Mayor in 2020. Commissioner Holness has been a real estate broker and a business owner for the past 30 years. He's attended Plantation High School, and after graduating in 1975, went on to Broward College. Commissioner Holness has focused his policies on business and economic development, healthcare, education, immigration, social development, as well as throughout his political career. As chairman of the board for the Broward Black elected officials, Commissioner Holness devised and implemented a county's first Broward Black action plan for community-led solutions towards greater outcome and opportunities across the area of economic development, employment, criminal justice, education, housing, transportation, health with Broward County community, Black communities. He's also helped raise money, millions of dollars that is, as co-chair of the United Negro College Fund's annual fundraising luncheon. Commissioner Holness is running as a candidate, I must add, for the U.S. Congressional District, Florida 20, to extend the legacy of decade-long friend and mentor, Congressman Alcee Hastings, who endorsed him, and also as his successor, Commissioner Hastings, Congressman Hastings, I should say, did pass away in April of 2021 from pancreatic cancer, unfortunately. Also joining us on this call today in the panel is Ms. Paola Isaac Baraya. She's Economic Development Officer and specialist with international trade at the Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business Development. Ms. Isaac's role involves educating Broward County businesses on exploring and developing as well as implementing international trade policies and strategies to further the county's and the country's position as a global center within the South Florida region and within the United States. Ms. Isaacs assists Broward County's businesses to reach global markets through signature series such as the Export Readiness Seminar, which is the 11-step exporting, a roadmap to exporting success, doing business with the world, Florida export opportunities in international markets, and one of the largest annual conferences in international trade in the state of Florida, which is called the Florida International Trade and Culture Expo, that she has since organized over the last 5 years, attracting well over 2,000 dignitaries, including former heads of states in over 60 countries. Her role also involves organizing international trade missions, strengthening worldwide partnerships of countries, and acting as a protocol officer for international affairs for the mayor as well as the county's board of commissioners. In 2020, Ms. Isaacs published the Broward County Way, a reference guide to international protocol for Broward County, Broward County. And last but not least, we also have Mr. Miguel Olivares, a senior international trade specialist with the United States Commercial Services for the exporting of promotional branch of the United States government. As an accomplished international trade professional, Miguel guides and counsels export-minded U.S. companies ranging from first-time exporters to seasoned firms looking to increase their international sales. His experience is domestically and overseas include in event management, international marketing, cross-cultural communication, and U.S. government operations. Miguel has been with the Commercial Service since 1997 and came to Florida in 2004. Prior to joining the Commercial Service, Miguel was in a private sector working with the various export departments and with the State of California Center for International Trade Development. He excels in dynamic environments under a variety of foreign and domestic conditions while remaining pragmatic and focused. Specialties include international marketing, event planning, cross-cultural communication, Office, as well as some of the other operational programs, WordPress and Drupal. He holds a master's in international studies from the University of Oregon, a bachelor's in international relations from the University of California, Los Angeles, and has studied economics at Monarch University in Australia and European Union law in France. His hobbies include fitness, writing, paddleboarding, and his hobbies, that is, cooking, and also science as a history buff. Miguel was born and raised in Southern California, has never grew up outside of the state, outside saying boots. The invitation I received So this is the panel of individuals that we have for the session today. And I'm excited to have everyone here. And we're going to do I'll pose the question and we'll do a round robin and have everyone interact on this first question. So I'll start off with asking the question to the panel here. Tell us about your organization that you work with and your role in the international trade and investments arena. We'll start with Commissioner Holness.
Thank you very much for having me on this program. This is very, very important. Entrepreneurship, I believe, is the engine that drives innovation. It drives prosperity. I believe the entrepreneurship is what has made America, one of the tenets that has made America as great as it is. Unfortunately, a large segment of our society have been left out of these entrepreneurial opportunities. And when you look at wealth and poverty, it mirrors those groups that owns businesses and entrepreneurs, and those who are entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. If you look at the Asian community and other communities, you'll find that because of their ownership, they have a greater amount of wealth within their community and many others. And you look at the African American community, the Black community, and you find the reverse is true. We have higher poverty, higher unemployment, higher misery, less power, because those who have money influence the power and control what happens in our society. So for me, it is critical that the Black community gets to where it is a part of the entrepreneurship that drives the economy of our country and again, to be in control. If you have your own business, you hire yourself and you hire your family and you hire your friends. So those around you are empowered because you own your own business. So for many years, I take the stand that when I spend, I look to see where I spend. Who am I spending with? How does that build the community? And being in the real estate business is part of that. That's what I do. When we have renovations, when we have projects, I make sure we target the community that has been left out. Locked out oftentimes, and too often we're locked out. So at Broward County, when I got to Lauderhill as a commission in 2004, I started the Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce, still supported, still running. I'm a founding member of the Black Chamber of Commerce. I got to the county and right away went to work to increase participation for minority women contractors, because we are race and gender neutral in our procurement process. We've gone from 10.25% in our procurement for this group to now 44%. Last year, that represented $136 million. So now we have people who are being empowered. We have people who are really helping to build our country and our economy and prosper it. And that's essential for us. So as a county commissioner, I'm part of a policy board that determines what the policies are. And I help with implementation of those policies by being a conduit for these businesses to get access to opportunities. And I insist on it. Some folks don't like me for it, but everyone pay taxes. So when we spend the tax money, we ought to make sure that it reaches everyone. It's only fair. But if we go further and look at our nation and look at the report that was done by City Financial that was reported out last September, that showed that because of the inequities that exist, racial inequities that exist in America, we lost the ability to produce $16 trillion in GDP, $16 trillion over 20 years. If we fix it, it says we'll be able to grow it by $5 trillion. So part of what we must do also, in addition to helping to foster opportunities for those who have been left out, is to look to see how we sell more of our goods and our services to the rest of the world. From my days in Lauderhill, I started Sister City program. I also built a business incubator for export. Got to the county, and it took me a couple of years to convince my colleagues to do what you mentioned earlier that Paula has so ably helped me to build, and that's FITCE, Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo. In 2015, well, I started asking for it pretty much when I got there, but I finally said in 2015, if you don't want to give the money, give me the opportunity. We started off with no money in the budget, but by the end of the budget year, we got some funds. You've heard the statistics on that. We've made that program a huge program to the extent that we won a presidential award. And part as a result of that, we have the World Trade Center, Fort Lauderdale, that is being organized as hundreds of millions in investment that will come in as a result of that. We've got lots more of our business exporting to the rest of the world. We have business from around the world looking to relocate here, and we have foreign direct investments coming in that can help us grow our economy. So that, in essence, is a part of what I do. There's, I think we'll have more time, and I'll probably come back to talk a little bit more about some other stuff. But being a part of the board of directors of the county, which is what we are as county commissioners, helping to foster policies that help business grow and develop, and particularly keen at helping Black-owned businesses.
Perfect. Thank you. And Paula, you want to share your story in terms of your organization?
Yes.
Your role there?
Yes, thank you very much for having me again this year. I'm with the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development. So our office has many roles and many services for the community, and especially for Black-owned businesses as well. One part is small business certification. So we certify small businesses locally and also on the federal level that want to participate in government programs, bids that we have from the county. The county buys millions of dollars in products and services, so we can help businesses to become certified and have better opportunities to sell to us their products and services. So that's on the certification side. On the economic development side, it's all about business attraction, business retention. So we're the economic development agency for the county to attract new businesses that want to open their office here in Broward County. So we help them from site selection to incentives, manufacturing tax abatements, expedited permitting, workforce training. And we do that in collaboration also with a public-private partnership, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. In addition to that, we offer entrepreneurship services. So we have a business plan program called the Fast Track program that we are affiliated with the Kauffman Institute. And I know that we collaborate very closely with the Urban League and other great institutions like SCORE. And last but not least, I'm in charge for the International Trade Program. As you mentioned in my bio, I have educational programs and one-on-one counseling. So the education programs include the Signature Program, award-winning program, the 11 Steps to Exporting, that Commissioner Onus mentioned that we won an award in 2019, the President's E Award from the President of the United States. And as well, we do doing business with the world. We just did yesterday doing business with Trinidad and Tobago. And we look forward to doing many countries to just introduce the businesses to new markets. And then I implement the Florida International Trade and Cultural Expo, and that's 60 countries and a lot of great panels and sessions to learn on how to export and get businesses getting into global markets. So that's just in a little few words what we do. And we look forward to providing more information on this panel. Thank you very much, JR.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula.
Awesome.
And
Thank you,
Miguel,
Paula.
you want to share with us your organization and your role within the international trade and investments arena?
Thank you, and absolutely glad to do so. Well, I'm part of the U.S. Commercial Service, which is the export promotion branch of the U.S. government. And our mission is to promote the exports of goods and services from the United States, and particularly help small and mid-sized businesses. We represent U.S. business interests internationally and help U.S. companies find qualified buyers. And that's a critical element that we do. To talk to companies, do an export process overview. We can assist them with their export plans. There's also resources that can be downloaded online for free that I'm happy to provide. But amongst the most important things that we offer is market research. We can offer research by country. We do industry research, free trade agreements, customized services, and also business matchmaking, whether it's either from a contact list of potential buyers all the way to one-on-one appointments with qualified buyers. And in this era of COVID, we're not traveling so much as we're doing more and more virtual matchmaking here. But I'm happy to talk more about that as the session rolls on.
Perfect. Thank you. This question I'm going to pose to the group, and if we can have a healthy dialogue around this. This is kind of the starting point in this conversation here, which is, why is it important for Black businesses and professionals to go global? And by seeking out the participating in the international trade arena or for investment opportunities, in your minds, as you support and work within your organizations, why is it important for Black businesses to pay attention to this and to seek out this opportunity? So this is open to the floor. Paola, why don't you take the lead on this?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, this is something we always mention in our webinar, that 95% of the purchasing power is outside of the United States. So definitely there's tremendous opportunity, especially when we're going through difficult times here. It could be whether we went to the recession or also with the pandemic now. And also sometimes you may have a product that is saturated in the US, but in a new market globally, you could really find a lot of opportunities. So that's why we feel it's important. I know that a lot of small businesses, they feel intimidated to go into global markets, and that's why we created the 11 steps to exporting, to demystify the process and to let them know that it doesn't have to be that intimidating, and that I know you're focused on your domestic selling, but look at other markets because you can find tremendous opportunities. So I think that's why it's important from any business, and also not to discourage small business, because 98% of exporters are small businesses. So definitely there's an opportunity for even small businesses or minority-owned businesses to find more opportunities in global markets.
Miguel, go ahead.
Yeah, so I completely echo what Paola has said. The majority of markets are overseas, and there are opportunities available. The other thing too is that if you are entirely focused on the U.S. market, and look, the U.S. market is large. There's a lot of opportunity here, but you don't always want to put your eggs in one basket. So by going overseas, you could actually extend your product life cycle, or you can extend your services, and you have your fingers in other pots, so to speak. Right. So it acts also not only as a means for additional income, but it also acts as a security measure. So if one market doesn't work, or it's experiencing some kind of difficulty, you still have a fallback on others.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Holmes?
Repeat the question again, Jer.
So I was asking, why is it important for Black businesses and professionals to go global by seeking out participating in international trade and investment opportunities? In your words, why is it important? Why is it a significant thing that they should capitalize on?
So let me give you an analogy. There was a company that does steel products. When the recession hit, they practically went out of business. And then they started to export, doing buildings in different parts of the world. That company has grown exponentially to this day because they found other places to do business. So the other part of it is this: the emerging markets around the world need American skill sets to help them build and grow their economy. Paula said 95% of the world is outside of America. That's the population. Sure, we are the largest economy in the world. However, when you look at growth markets around the world, it's largely in emerging markets in developing countries. And I believe that if we don't today do more to sell more of our goods and our services to the rest of the world, the prosperity that we as Americans has come to know will diminish. And other countries are outgunning us right now, particularly China.
Yeah.
So it is important in many ways. One, yes, to grow your business and to develop your business. And secondly, for our country's national security and prosperity, we have to do more than we're doing today in order to not fall any further behind China in their efforts to open these markets. And we have natural markets. Africa is a great marketplace with a lot of growth potential that the Chinese have seized onto. And they're welcome into African Americans. I was in Ghana with Paula on a trade mission in 2020 at the beginning of the year, February. And it was like a homecoming for us. And they actually have the year of return in 2019. We were there in early 2020, and that reception was still there for us. And they're begging, practically begging for American expertise and are welcoming for Black business owners and the Black community to help build the country. And Garvey pointed to this 100 years ago, actually. That's something that we ought to be doing, and construed in different ways what he was trying to accomplish. But I believe that there's tremendous amount of opportunity for growth and development right here in the Caribbean and Latin America. There are natural markets that we can get into. And because we are an advanced economy, because we have a greater technical skill sets and understanding of entrepreneurship and markets, we can help them and help ourselves at the same time.
All right. Miguel, question for you. What incentives and funding programs and or resources are available for businesses that want to expand their products and services into an international arena? And I think, Paolo, you probably will have some insight in this as well. A lot of insight, I should say, around this. What incentive programs through your organizations are available that can be leveraged?
We, our organization doesn't offer funding. I'll just tell that straight up. However, we do partner very closely with Enterprise Florida, which is a state export promotion agency. And they have grants to use some of our services. So let's say, for example, that a company is interested in doing one-on-one business matchmaking using one of our services. Enterprise Florida can potentially step in and pay for that service. There are some tests, for example, the product has to be made in Florida, and it's local because it's Florida funds that are going into it, but they can be used to pay for our services. Now, having said that, the bulk of our services, in terms of any kind of information that a person needs, market research and all, that's free of charge. And we could also download reports for folks. Where we do charge, and this is where, again, Enterprise Florida can assist, is where we go out there, we talk to potential buyers, vet them, because our folks overseas are meeting the potential buyers, and there's a bit of an expense with that. But if you look at what we offer, and you look at what, say, not to make a comparison here, but, like in the private sector or whatever, we have a number of resources. And, I say this having originally been in the private sector and using commercial service programs as a customer, and then joining the organization later.
Right. Paola?
Yes, I'm going to have to concur with Miguel, because how we work as the county, we collaborate closely with the state of Florida, which Enterprise Florida is the official economic development organization for the state of Florida, and as well with Miguel's office, the U.S. Export Assistance Center. And what we do, our office, is before any business can take advantage of these grants and programs, they have to become export ready. So we make sure that they have an export readiness training, whether it be through our 11 steps. And the 11 steps is also a counseling that I do one-on-one. So I go one-on-one with every company and see, what are you missing? Do you need help with more with like the U.S. export control or foreign regulations, or methods of payments, etc. So basically, it's identifying at the beginning if a company is export ready. Then from there, working with Enterprise Florida, there's different grants. There's a grant for doing an export plan, which is actually our step 2 in the 11 steps. So if the company qualifies, the SBDC, in partnership with Enterprise Florida, can implement a full-fledged export plan that is very thorough and also proposes international markets for businesses. Then from there, if they qualify, we also work with Miguel's team and see if they qualify for a gold key, which is really, I think it's one of the best programs we've ever seen. I work with foreign governments, and some of them don't even have that. It's like a dream matchmaking programs for businesses. So, businesses are definitely evaluated, and if they qualify, they can be matched with the U.S. government actually sets up appointments with qualified businesses that could be their potential clients in other markets. So we really find it's one of the top programs out there. And Enterprise Florida provides a grant for qualified businesses to take advantage, because there's a fee for the gold key. In addition to that, with the trade missions, Commissioner Holness mentioned, we go on we went on the Ghana trade mission, which was actually an Enterprise Florida trade mission. And we've been on many of their trade mission and export sales mission. And they do offer grants to businesses that want to do the gold key while they're on the mission. And the county is going to begin also organizing their own trade mission. We're looking to organize next. So in terms grant or providing money, we find that the value really comes in holding the hands of businesses and helping them get through the exporting process, and also helping them find foreign clients. So that's more valuable than providing a financial incentives per se. And last but not least, there's also export financing. So we collaborate with the Florida Export Financing Corporation, which is a nonprofit association from the state of Florida, and as well with Exim Bank and SBA, to assist companies that need export financing. So those would be some of the main programs that we offer in collaboration with our partners, of course.
And Commissioner Holness, I know in your role and the leverage that you have from a government perspective, I'm sure you've got a ton of incentives or maybe programs that you're looking to roll out, or that you're pressing and leaning on individuals to roll out that we can take advantage of. So take it away.
So I got to tell you this, I believe that once the wheel was created, what we do is we work with the wheel and our work to improve the wheel. I'm going to highlight some of what was spoken already, but I've got to tell you this. Part of what I think is really, really important is for you to start doing some research to see what you want to do, how you want to do it, and do a little background to determine where you go. When I go on trade missions and lead them, we open doors. We get you into the people. We even go beyond the norm of what Enterprise Florida does. And we set some other stuff. And we build relationship, because I got to tell you, at the end of the day, we in America look at how much it costs, what it brings, and hard numbers and hard facts. Many countries, many people have different culture. They build relationship first. And you get to know that person. And as a result of that relationship, then you do business. But there are a lot of things that we have to offer. You've heard some of them. Enterprise Florida, certainly in Florida, is a great tool. I'm going to probably share a screen with you for a couple of things that we'll run through as quickly as we can. And some of it you've heard a little bit about before. I'm just going to probably add a little bit to it, because there are enough resources out there that if you truly want to get into the export market, you're able to do so. But again, you have to determine, am I willing to do that? So if I may share screen here to drop a couple of things out there for you.
Yeah, please do.
And I'm going to move through as expeditiously as I can with these screens. Again, some of it you've already heard. And I work closely of the Department of Commerce and others in Enterprise Florida. We have to. Again, it has to be a collaborative effort in order to bring the most success. So look at these websites as I put them up, trade.gov. This is the International Trade Administration, and they work to encourage and support our business going overseas or goods and our service. They have solutions that they offer. And again, if you go through these, you get some understanding as to what tools might be out there. The trade and data analysis, that's something that's important. So you can get an understanding as to what that marketplace is like. This is some of what Miguel offers also through his office. If you have problems, there's a way to help for the federal government to help you with resolving those issues. And you can get support virtually also. Now, this DFC is what it's now called. It used to be called OPIC, OPIC. It's a federal program that helps our businesses to finance when they export, especially certain areas, healthcare, energy, and critical infrastructure and technology. China is doing this in a tremendous way. You can go to dfc.gov and get more information on that. And here's some of the areas that they work with you on: debt financing, equity investment, feasibility studies, investments, funds, political risk insurance. What is the climate there politically? Or will there be a government change that could surprise you? Technical assistance. So they do a lot for you to help. And Paula mentioned this, the Gold Key program. You can go to trade.gov/gold-key-service. This to me is a tool that is being underutilized by most of our companies. And I think in part because they're not fully aware. I believe that this is an area that the federal government through Congress should fund more greatly, because this gives us the ability, as was stated earlier, for the commercial attaché at one of our embassies to actually go out and help you find companies that you could sell your goods and services to. It has to be at least 51% U.S. content, whether it be goods or services, and they help you with that. And of course, if you're in business, you need to know what the Small Business Administration does and how you can get funds and prepare yourself for that. So the SBA.gov is another tremendously powerful website for you to go to get some help. The U.S. Department of Commerce really is there, and that's the umbrella that Miguel is under, I believe. Commerce.gov is another place you can go to. Now, why should we be doing this more than anything else? Is to compete against China. And I might sound like I'm a little bit afraid of China. I am, because they have undertaken to take the world over from a financial aspect. They are lending money, they are bringing their businesses, and they're insisting that these developing countries, these emerging markets, use their personnel, their technical folks, their architect, their engineers, their materials, and even labor. There's a project that was built a couple of years ago right here in the Bahamas called Bahama Mar. $5 billion is what the Chinese put into it. And here's the conditions that they insisted on. I was in a conversation with the Minister of Tourism from the Bahamas at the time, and they were trying to negotiate with China not to at least take so many jobs. They actually had 7,500 Chinese working on this project in the Bahamas. Chinese drywall. They use pretty much everything Chinese. Did that money get to the Bahamas? Not really, because at the end of the day, they paid their workers in China. And they came, work, and left. And even beyond that, one of the tactics that they're using now is to help these people set up businesses in these countries so that when you want to buy more goods and material, they are right there to wholesale it to you. It is happening all over the world. And I got to tell you, we really need to be concerned about this. They tie their banks and their lending institution to their enterprises to go out and especially on roads and power plants, ports, railroads. I was in in Nigeria in 2017 in Abuja on a trade mission. Some great folks in Miami led that one, and I joined in with a few companies that I brought with me. And the airport was being built by Chinese in Abuja. Again, it is what they're doing. They're being relentless. They have pledged $900 billion, and they're looking to probably go as much as $8 trillion. So what's our answer? In Broward County, we have FITSE, Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo. And we partner certainly with Miguel. Tremendous job. And by the way, Paula speaks about 5 languages. So we've got a great asset there in her. We'll do it again this November, 17th and 18th. So mark your calendar to be a part of this great event. And you can go to FITCEXPO.com, FITCEXPO.com. Register. We already have registration. We have booths and tables available for you to be able to expose your business. We're here to help you. And this is a great place for you to make that connection. Emerging markets around the world. If we look at some of these countries, and certainly Libya is rich, they have some issues politically, and that's not probably where you want to go. But Macau's economy is expected to grow by 61%. The Maldives, growing economy. Guyana, right here in South America, the Caribbean. Guyana discovered oil, and they are now listed as one of the top 20 large oil reserve countries in the world. Their economy is projected to grow by 16.39% this year. Ours, maybe if we're lucky, we get to 4%. That's a huge growth there. That's an opportunity there, right there. And part of what you probably should consider is how you partner with existing entities to help them grow, bring in technical support. India, I was in India, Paul and I, on a trade mission a few years ago. We went to Vibrant Gujarat, a trade expo that was started by President Modi of India. They connected the world there. I learned so much about what was happening in Africa, particularly in Kenya, where the economies at the time was growing very fast. Mm-hmm. So there are opportunities out there for us to really go into the world. Africa, and I would intrigue you to find the article, and I should have tried to pull it up, in the Wall Street Journal that was out about 2.5, 3 years ago, that said Africa is the future and America is not ready. And it talked about how they have a youthful population. They have raw material, natural resources that can be utilized to grow their country and advance their country. And again, as I stated earlier, they're looking for partnership from Black-owned companies here to help them grow their economy. The Wall Street Journal article also pointed out that our engagement there is more military than it is from commerce and business and entrepreneurship. It's an opportunity for us to really help the country, but at the same time, we're able to grow our economy here and prosper in America. Hope I didn't take too long on that.
Thank you so much for that. I want to follow that up with a question, and this is for everyone, which is, what are the top sectors? We talk about China, we talk about the services and programs that they're tapping into globally. But when I think locally, in our entrepreneurs, in our space, what are the top 5 sectors that those who are listening or will listen to this session can be excited about as it relates to their business? Paula, you can start with that, or Miguel, go ahead.
Sure. Okay, I was just checking if I was still muted. Healthcare is a really growing business, and the world is getting, we're living longer, which is a good thing. But along with that comes complications as we get older. And so there is a market for that. And so I would look at healthcare. There's also and it's aligned with healthcare, wellness. The wellness industry is also growing. It touches more on consumer goods, but it is something to look at. Renewable energy, any green tech, in environmental, or when I speak of environmental, it also incorporates things like wastewater treatment. We all live in this, we all breathe the same air, we all drink the same water, and there's an awareness of that. The planet is not as big as it used to be. Air travel has shrunk, and we're cognizant of that. And renewable energy, environmental products are booming. And from my vantage point, those are the 2 top ones that are coming up. And of course, I mentioned wellness as a third. Other traditional markets or other traditional industries are aviation, automotive, but growth, yeah, and I would look at health and environmental.
Okay. Paula?
Yes, I'm going to mention 3 industries that I've noticed from the trade missions and also from businesses I've been talking to that have been growing. But before that, I just want to say that I don't want to limit any industries, because I know there's a lot of businesses listening, and it really depends on the country. Some countries will have a need more for certain products or services. But I do want to mention some trends that I've been seeing, especially with the pandemic. E-commerce has been growing because more and more, because of the impact on the retail industry, people I feel more comfortable ordering online their products. So I've seen e-commerce grow. I've seen education and training. When we went to Panama, they had a dire need of training from the US, and especially American universities are doing very well, because a lot of people from abroad, they want to have a certificate, or they want to have a diploma from an American university. So education and training is very hot right now. And franchises, because when I went to Chile, we went on a trade mission to Chile, they were asking us specifically, we want more American franchises, like Chili's and Red Lobster, etc. But it could be any type of franchises. So those are some. There's more than that, of course. And Miguel mentioned some good ones, especially healthcare with, definitely protective products for the pandemic. But other than that, I've seen some trends in the industries that I just mentioned.
Technology, solutions, and implementation of technology. We did a trade mission to Colombia. In 2013, we went, Paula, with Governor Scott as a part of Enterprise Florida. And I brought a gentleman with me, George Maldonado. And we went off the beaten path because Paul is a government employee and I'm not, right? I was able to go where she didn't. We went to Nick Lockley and Apartado and Medellin. And Paula was in Medellin, but she couldn't go further than Medellin with us. But George Maldonado is now doing things in. It took a while for him to get there. This is 2013. Now we're many years later, but he's actually helping technology solutions in rural areas, extending the ability for internet to reach many of the rural communities. So they're putting cell towers up and implementing solutions for the government, for businesses, utilizing technology, and he's doing quite well. I actually introduced him yesterday. Just yesterday, I spoke with him to someone else who did some of that earlier in Jamaica and is now doing more investment back here. But I figured that would be someone that could help guide him. And that's something you should look for, mentorship. And Paul has stated clearly that the country that you are looking to do business in has different needs. Whatever your business is, figure out how you might fashion that to help. And maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. I would tell you, don't force it. If it doesn't fit, don't try to make it fit, because you're going to lose money and go out of business. And that's not what we want you to do. We want you to be prosperous and prosper. One of the things that I would say to us is, let's look at the area within where we are in the Caribbean and great parts of Latin America. Tourism is a big thing. So if you can get into some tourism solutions where you can probably partner with someone, if you have some dollars, to build some bed and breakfast to get into Airbnb by investing in some properties there. That might be helpful for you. But again, for everyone, it's a different story. Right. It depends on what skill set you have, what you're comfortable with. Do the research first, look for support, and then go get it done.
So I did not hear retail, clothing specifically, and I know that you mentioned China and some of these other areas that are producing a tremendous amount of stuff, low cost. And other countries for that matter as well. But I see in our local market here with some unique individuals who have created some really unique brands. And is there no opportunity there, or is it specific to certain regions? Maybe another country like Africa, for example, in certain.
So I'd say to you that right here in Haiti, which is going through some turmoil now, and when stability comes back, we need to look at textile manufacturing. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, they had a huge textile industry, lower cost production there. Baseball utilized them for a lot of their garments. A lot of stuff was built there. Hope 6 is a preferential agreement that was brought forth under President before Obama or before Bush. No, not Bush. Clinton put that in place, and that gave them preferential treatment in textile manufacturing. That's something that I would say you can probably look at, but I don't know about retail selling to those countries, because they're going to buy it from China cheap. Okay,
right.
I talked to you about China setting up businesses in these countries. That's a part of what they do. They will go in and they'll set up wholesale centers so that the folks in those countries, and I saw it clearly in Jamaica, there's a place called Savlamar on Great George's Street. There's about 6 major wholesalers, and all the small entities that were doing retail before, gone, because they wiped them out, because they're able to buy at scale, and they group together these entities when they send them out to buy together. So I don't know that you're going to go into these countries and do retail clothing and stuff like that to make any money. What you might want to look to do is see how you get into technical stuff, higher end stuff. Medical equipment is something that's in need. Miguel spoke of healthcare. That's something that we offer the world that most other countries don't have. We manufacture some of the best medical equipment in the world. That's something you can look to see how can I go out and sell to these hospitals and these clinics some American-made medical supplies and equipment. And I think that's a big area also for us to look at, exporting more to the rest of the world.
Thank you. Paola, the percentages are high in terms of minority-owned businesses participating in exporting of goods relative to other sides of businesses within this country. So there's active participation there. Clearly, there's room to grow. There's room for us to grow even more in preparing them. And your organizations are doing a wonderful job creating those venues for them. But there are barriers, and businesses will encounter these certain barriers that's going to prohibit them or discourage them. What would you say to that? And how do they overcome any of those barriers?
Okay, well, I think again the barriers depend on the country, and also what I've noticed from businesses is they just feel that intimidation, or they're a little bit fearful of going into another market. And maybe I'm just giving an example, the fear of not being paid. So the fear of not being paid with Exim Bank, there's a program called the credit insurance, and that's insurance against non-payment. So there's certain fears that the local companies have to overcome, and that's why with the 11 steps to exporting, we're trying to tackle every step of the way and see, okay, what creates a barrier for you to get into a new market. Of course, there's all these standard barriers. There could be some markets where there's political complications, economic complications, there's regulations that are not easy for a company to transfer their product, electrical requirements, things like that can be expensive to modify product to get into a market, and doesn't justify the costs of going into a new market. So what I recommend to businesses is look at markets where it's easier for you at the beginning to be in. It could be also the language. Could be you don't have to change the labeling. The political situation is stable. The economic and the currency situation is stable. So start with those markets. We have a free trade agreement. So free trade agreements, I believe, help us, because then pricing wise, we become just as competitive as the local product. So those would be my recommendation. There could be some barriers to entry. And of course, there's always quotas. There's some countries that don't allow a certain quantity because they want to protect their own made in their country. So there's quotas. So, but we can look at all of that. It's really a case by case basis, by country and by product and service.
Anyone else want to add to that, or?
Yes. So I mean, I'm pretty much echoing what Paola said just now. But when we look at trade barriers, one of the things and she knows I've spoken about this before, are tariffs. There are some countries there that charge a very high tariff, which means that, let's say you're getting a certain widget to Mexico, where we have a free trade agreement, versus Brazil, where we don't. If you export it to Mexico, pretty much the cost of the product will be the cost of shipping. It could be slightly more expensive in Mexico because it needs to be shipped over there. But because we have a free trade agreement with them, the idea is to be competitive with domestically manufactured goods. If you try to do the same thing with Brazil, which has 3 or 4 layers of tariffs, your widget will cost 2, maybe even 3 times more to the Brazilian consumer than a locally made product. So that's a true barrier right there, and why I would look at countries where we have free trade agreements first, because there's a common business practice. There's common standards. And the other thing, and this is what Commissioner Holness touched on, is China. If China is flooding a given market with consumer goods, and you're trying to export consumer goods over to that same market. Well, you're competing against that. You're going to be competing against the Chinese products that are already there. And that's something to be aware of too. But as a solution, look at where we have free trade agreements first. If you're just starting out with exporting, I would recommend look at where we have the free trade agreements, build your export portfolio, and then go out and try to tackle a market where maybe, say, more challenging, let's say.
I would say that lack of knowledge as to what it entails to sell your goods and your service to the rest of the world would be one that people are afraid they don't know. And that is why I introduced at the presentation, do some research and teach yourself first, what does this entail? How is this done? Look for the resources that are there, because there's certainly ample resources if you would choose to do that. And if you still have the fear, and fear is a big part of it, seek partnership. Find someone who understand the country that you might be looking to go, or someone who've had experience before. Don't be afraid of seeking a mentor, of finding a partner who can help guide you along the way. And then the other thing that I'd say to you is this: a language barrier is something else that people find is an obstacle. Sadly, as Americans, we don't believe we should speak any other language other than English. But by doing so, we're cutting ourselves off from the rest of the world in great part. If you look at the area closest to us, Latin America and the Caribbean, with a huge Spanish-speaking population, I would encourage all of us to at least get some rudimentary understanding of the language of Spanish. I actually have utilized some tools to help teach myself enough for me to understand and be able to communicate, not excellent, but at least for folks to understand what I'm saying, especially if they speak slowly. And I tell them, despacio, por favor, speak slowly. I'll go slowly. And I'm going to share this with you. Let me share something that I found as a great tool to help me understand the Spanish language. It's called Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish. Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish. It's written by Maria Madrigal. I've given away over 100 of these books because I believe it's so important that we get to understand that language. And by the way, we are the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. People don't know that. Only Mexico have more people that speak Spanish than us. So even right here, you should be doing that. That book costs you about $15-20, and of course you get all the other stuff that's out there that you can utilize. But what this book does, it helps you with the structure. Doctor, actor, interior, superior, presidente, elegante, elefante. These are words we use all the time. You just have to change the pronunciation or the spelling slightly, right? So that's something and that's why I love that one, because see, I'm an older guy now. Okay, I'm not going to memorize all this stuff. So if I can have a tool that gives me a structure and a system that I can utilize, that's going to be helpful. Again, we can sell more of our goods and our services. And if you're not comfortable with that, find someone who can help interpret for you, to be there with you, to become a partner, or to support you, or to hire in your organization.
Perfect. Thank you. You touched on some of the successes, Commissioner Holness, doing your research, mentorship, partnership, that would help an individual. What are some other keys to success as you go global as an entrepreneur? Miguel,
well, I also talk about researching first before you go out there,
Right.
You don't want to go build a jet plane without first figure out what it takes to do that, right? You don't fly a plane without doing a little research and learning something first, right?
Yeah. You don't jump in the lake without not knowing what's in it.
So that's a huge piece of what I would say that you ought to look to do is do that research and utilize the tools that are available for you. And I touched again on using mentors. And just yesterday, I made like 4 connections to people who are looking to get in the export business, and because it's that important that I think you find those people who can mentor you, who can pour into you, and don't be afraid of giving up a little piece of the money or the pie. You know, you don't want to take it all and then lose it all, right? You know, mitigate your risk, bring some other folks into the deal, right? And folks say, well, I don't trust anybody. Well, you know what? In business, I don't say just trust, okay? Document it. Get an agreement signed that says this is what you do, this is what I do, this is how much you make, this is how much I make. So that you have something that controls the deal more than just your words. And words are good, and people ought to live by the words. If you say you're going to do something, you should do it. But unfortunately, circumstance in life sometimes change things, and people get into different situations that make them adjust their behavior, sometimes to not being very nice or kind. So those are some of the tools that I think you ought to be able to utilize. There's ample tools out there for you to really utilize if you choose to do that. Again, partnership, I think, and mentorship, finding someone to help. And you ought to be mentoring someone also along the way. Help somebody else. Because the day will come when you might benefit from helping them, even though that wasn't your intention. Because they grow exponentially, and guess what? They carry you along the way.
And I think in the ecosystem, that's what, throughout our organizations, that's what we're doing, and that's what we attempt to do, and that's our goal, is to help these entrepreneurs along the way. There's clearly opportunities for individuals to grow their business and scale for those who have the stomach for it, because it can be a little bit of a roller coaster. Being overextended, or the risk factor and the unknown does weigh heavy, I'm sure. But for those who are willing to jump in the arena, or for those who may be missing out on an opportunity, let's talk about generational wealth and what that does for an organization or for business as you start to grow and as you scale. And Paul, I know through some of the number of programs that you offer, is this something that is woven in that discussion or that dialogue in terms of the growth of business and what it could, how it could play out?
Basically, we don't really focus on generational wealth, but I just want to say that basically building relationship is key, because that can add to generational wealth. Because if you build strategic relationships, like at our conference, we have former presidents coming from countries, ministers. We bring all our top contacts from all over the world here. You don't even have to travel. So building those contacts and then passing it along generations, introducing whoever you need to those contacts, that's going to be more valuable in a way, and it could be involving you in big projects. Like I have a company that just landed a big contract in Albania. They're going to redo all the highways in Albania. That came from relationship building, and relationship building and friendship building will always bring you abundance and wealth. So that's pretty much the message we want to come across in our events and our teachings. And that's what people need to think. They don't need to have a micro focus on how do I make money now, as no, how do I build a relationship that will be fruitful over the long term, So that may be how generational wealth can develop through those strategic relationships.
Okay. Miguel?
Yeah. So generational wealth as a term is not something that we normally talk about in our agency, because it's something more the realm of a personal or a family matter. Having said that, speaking personally, it is something that my own family has been talking about, and we understand the term. And so it's incumbent on the business owner, it's incumbent on the family to prioritize generational wealth, not spend everything and leave some for the next generation. So that way the wealth can continue for, the next generation. But I think it's also an educational element too. It's something that should be spoken about more often. The value of holding wealth and passing that on.
Right. Looks like we're coming down the home stretch here. Go ahead.
I'll tell you this. I think naturally, business ownership and entrepreneurship leads to creating generational wealth, because you engage your family in these enterprises more often than not. Not always, but you do. And they see what you do and understand what you do, and then learn from it. I've owned a real estate company now for many years, and I'll tell you this is where my kids earn their first paycheck. The first money they get comes out of here. As early as 9 years old, they would answer the phones. And I'll tell them, you got to speak loud like you're someone big and grown. If you speak too softly, they're going to think you're a little baby. And another part of what that can help us with as entrepreneurs and business owners, it brings you a younger perspective. They have different trends and different understanding. And in terms of technology, these young people are crazy with that stuff. Okay. They know it inside out better than we probably will ever know for the rest of our life, unless we really, because that's how they live. So it is there. And the other thing that I'd say to you is this, we have jobs, most of us. You can't leave the job to them. You can leave that business to them. And that is often what occurs, is the children take over the business. And if they don't have the aptitude for it, sell it, and they get the money. Okay. So you have families who, have third, fourth generation taking over. Great granddaddy started the business. Now the grandson or the great grandson is running the business. Because it was been in the family. They, at the dinner table, you talk about it. They take the kids to work at the business. It is a natural thing, I believe, to occur. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Awesome discussion. We are like ticking away here. I looked at the timer and 21 seconds and counting. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful discussion. This is something that, in the topic, that can just go on and we can probably have a round 2 of the same panel, same dialogue to help entrepreneurs out there. But thank you so much for your time. And Jackie, you can take the panel at this point. Thank you very much.
I'm going to go ahead and hit stop the broadcast, which I think it already stopped on us anyway. Thank you so much. And I learned so much from you guys, like literally so much. I've been taking notes the whole time. But my 17-year-old was having some issues at school. So when he walked in, I was like, you need to listen to this. I've been telling you about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I learned so much. So thank you guys so much. And I can't wait to learn more.
Yeah.
You guys have a wonderful day. I think we're going into lunch break at this point.
Yeah.
And a written Black experience. So there's a virtual booth or anything if you guys want to hop in any of those.
We will. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Commissioner Holness, I will tell you, I'm of Jamaican descent, and the thing you talk about with China and what they're doing, I've seen it firsthand with my own eyes in my country, in Jamaica. They're monopolizing everything.
They build the roadway from Kingston to Ocho Rios.
Yeah, I know.
They build the stadium in Trelawney.
Yeah.
Convention center in Montego Bay.
But
they built several hotels in Montego Bay.
They're supposed to hire the locals, and they brought their own people and did the work. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, you need to understand, when they negotiate these contracts, part of that negotiation, and I can tell you this, on the convention center and on the roadway, they say, okay, here's the deal. Here's what they put in the agreement. We will hire X percentage of local. But if
Right.
we get done our share of the work before the local, then we get to finish it anyhow. So